In this video, we are going to revise diversity in living organism, chapter 7 NCERT science book. So let's start with reading first para, and then after we will briefly discussing only highlighted portion. Have you ever thought of the multitude of life forms that surround us? Each organism is a different from the other to a lesser or greater extent. For instance, consider yourself and a friend. Are you both same in height? Does your nose look exactly like your friend nose? Is your hand span as same as your friends? However, if we were to compare ourselves with our friends, ourselves or our friends with a monkey, what would what would we say? Obviously, we and our friend have a lot of common when we compare ourselves with the monkey. But suppose we were to add a cow to a comparison, we would then think that monkey is a lot more in common than with us than with a cow. So how this thing is happening? This is happening because of speciation. So and because of evolutions and speciation, and this is what we are discussing in this video. A separate chapter regarding this on evolution is in NCERT 12th class. On one hand, we have a microscopic bacteria of a few micrometers in size, while on the other hand, we have a blue whale, a redwood tree, California largest plant of approximately a size of 30 to 100 meters respectively. Some pine tree live for a thousands of years. Many insects like mosquito die within a few days. Life also range from colorless to even colorless to or even transparent worms to brightly colored birds and flowers. This bewildering means confusing, bewildering variety of life around us has evolved around us over the millions of years. However, we do not have more than a tiny fraction of this time to try and understand all the living organisms. So we cannot look at them one by one. Instead, we form similarities among the organisms, which we will allow us to put them into different classes and then study different classes or groups as a whole. So this is an important introduction about how we have organized life forms. There is a lot of diversity, so we organize this diversity to understand. So simply we have divided into five types. We will discuss in this chapter what are these five types. Okay, so in order to make a relevant group to study the variety of life forms, we need to decide which characteristics decide more fundamental differences among the organisms. This would create the main broad group of the organisms. Within these groups, a smaller subgroups will be decided by less important characteristics. So what are these basic characteristics? On the basis of that, we have divided the huge diversity of life, both all kind of life in our planet. So what is the basis of the classification? The Greek thinker Aristotle classified animal according. So this was the background. This is not the modern way. So it was a Greek thinker. What used to be earlier in ancient time, there was a Greek thinker who divided water by three things: land, water, and air. Three: land, water, and oil. So land, water, these are the division on the basis of habitat. So this is a very simple and but also misleading. Why? Because like there is a lot of difference between the like on the basis of only habitat, though the species living in the sea like octopus, starfish, whales, these we can immediately see they are very much different from each other. In fact, habitat is the only point they common share. So the Greek philosopher thinker divided this on the basis of a habitat only. So like now in modern way, what how we have divided, this is what we are discussing about. What we mean by the characteristic is the particular feature for a particular functions. Now the division on the basis we did characteristics, the feature and functions in the organisms. On the basis of these we divided into five categories. Nowadays we look at the many interrelated characteristics starting from the nature of cell in order to classify them in living organisms. Eukaryote cells have a membrane bound. We have discussed this, the basic unit of lives, in the chapter maybe 5. It was chapter 5 where we discussed this. Eukaryotic cells have a membrane bound organelles including a nucleus which allow a cellular process to be carried out efficiently in isolation with each other. Classification and evolution. All living things are identified and categorized on the basis of their body design in the form of and the body design in form and function. This is the what the basic classification, the basis of classification. Charles Darwin was the first guy described the idea of evolution in 1859 in his book The Origin of a Species. This is more to know. Biodiversity means diversity in life forms. Rough estimate states that there are about 10 million species on the planet, though we actually know only 1 or 2 millions of them. Uh, the warm and humid tropic region of the earth between the tropic of Cancer and the tropic of Capricorn are rich diversity of the plant and animal, and this is also called region of mega diversity. In the 12th chapter, in the 12th class, we have the answer for this. Why this region, the Tropic of Cancer, has the maximum diversity? So basically, this is suppose a Tropic of Cancer. This is equator, 15-30 degree above and 30 degree down. This is Tropic of Cancer. Here, most of the rainfalls, most of the direct sunlight comes, and so that the photosynthesis is there lot, so due to which the diversity here is the most is an abundant. Second thing is like over the past centuries the earth was gone through the multiple cycles of cold ice ages. So this ice age was less least affected by affected in the this tropic of Cancer, this region, tropical region. So life was only like so, and most other parts like north and south part was mostly frozen in most of the ice ages. So life, so this was the only place where it was comparatively less snow or less affected by the ices. So, this is another reason for the life has most diversity in this region. One is because it has a more sunlight, more photosynthesis and more energy. Another one is it was not affected by the ice age. There is another one, like I am forgetting this right now. We will discuss this in 12th class biology. Our biodiversity in our plants, more than half of is concentrated in a few countries. Brazil, Colombia, Ecuador, they are all situated in the this uh, this region. tropical region. So why this is these are the regions? Because it has a most diversity. This is called mega diversity also. Now let's talk before going into the classification of animals, which is starting from here. Now, classification of organisms, which is starting from here. Let's discuss about the hierarchy. The classification. Whitaker was a scientist. Robert Whitaker, biologist especially. The Whitaker proposed has the five kingdoms: Monera, Protista, Fungi, Plantae, and Animalia, Animalia, and widely used. These groups are formed on the basis of their cell structure, mode of source of nutrition, the body design, the modification the modification whos introduced by dividing the Monera into Anarchaea bacteria or the Archaea, Archaea bacteria and Archaea eubacteria or bacteria is also in use. So the modern classification is divided into five things. One is kingdom, then comes the phylum, then class, order, family, gene, species. Suppose, see, like in our case, in human case, we are the sapiens. Then our gene is Homo. Then family is primate. Order is, I don't know about the order. And this is how the chronology is. The family, there are five kingdoms. Then there is a phylum or division is there. Then we have a class, then order, then family, and then genus, then species. In modern scientific names, we use two things: genus and species. So we are Homo sapiens. Homo is a genus and sapiens is a species. Broadly, a species includes all the organisms that are similar enough to breed and perpetuate. Those species who can breed, who can show a sexual interaction amongst them, they are classified under the same species. If they lost the ability to attract each other sexually, attracted by each other sexually, then they are no more considered as a common species. They will consider as a separate species. So let's discuss about the first five kingdoms are there. So first kingdom is Monera, then Protista, then Fungi is there, then Plantae and Animalia. What is a Monera? It is a simple one. Prokaryotic. Prokaryotic are those cells which don't have a definite nucleus or organelles. They nor do they them have a multicellular design. So they are unicellular. First, unicellular. Second, they don't have a defined nucleus or organelles. Simply, they don't have a organelle membranes. In the fifth chapter, we discussed about the a cell which perform a specialized function has organelles, and these organelles are also have organelle membranes, and in the Monera case it is absent. Mode of nutrition in the organism can either be for autotrophic, taking energy from sun, or heterotropic, and taking from the environment. This group includes bacteria, blue green algae, cyanobacteria, and mycoplasma. So bacteria, there are two types of bacteria. One is eukaryotic and prokaryotic. The eukaryotic bacteria in which are less defined are called prokaryotic, and they falls under the Monera. Then next is the Protista, are the eukaryotic guys. This group includes many kinds of unicellular. Again, we are on the unicellular. This is again unicellular thing. Organisms, they are also the unicellular organisms, and some of these organisms are appendages such as here like cilia and whip like flagella for moving around. Mode of nutrition is autotrophic or heterotrophic. Can be autotrophic or heterotrophic. Example of unicellular are algae, diatom, and protozoa. They are again unicellular. So first to like classification, both have a both are a unicellular organisms. One doesn't have a membrane bound organelles, and they don't have this is why they are the nucleus and organelles are not clearly defined. In eukaryotic, they are the nucleus and organelles have a separate membrane, and they perform more specific functions. Paramecium, amoeba, they are the examples of a protista. Now talks about the fungi. They are the heterotrophic. They are not autotrophic. Autotrophic means the organism which takes energy from photosynthesis. They are a heterotrophic means they are depending on something else. So heterotrophic eukaryotic organisms, they are called, they like decaying organic material as a food. They use decaying organic material, and this is why they are called spectro saprotose saprotose. So that means those who eat decaying organisms. Fungi the most common, like some tree has fallen down and they are decaying, and we see a fungi on it this way. So these are the fungi and they using its energy. So this is why they are heterotrophic, and since they are relying on a decaying organism, they are called saprotrophs. I may not be pronouncing this word correctly. They are called parasites. Parasites are depends on some other things. Many of them have a capacity to become multicellular organisms at a certain stage of their life. They have a cell wall made up of tough complex sugar called chitin. For example, yeast, mold, and mushrooms. These are the examples of fungi. Now talks about the plantae. Multicellular eukaryotes with a cell wall. They are autotrophic. So what is the difference between them? The difference between them is mode of nutrition, autotrophic, and this is the main difference. And also also another difference is they have a cell walls. Cell walls we discussed in the chapter 5. Cell wall is outside a cell membrane. It is a made of protein or lipids, and this mostly protects and uh, the cell. And in plants, the cell wall is made of cellulose. They are autotrophic and use chlorophyll for photosynthesis. Now, in animalia, animalia comes animals. A multicellular eukaryotes without a cell wall. So they are multicellular eukaryotes. They are both multicellular eukaryotes. This division is based on the cell type of cells, and they have a cell wall and they don't have a cell wall, and these are autotrophic and these are heterotrophics. So these above three group, Monera, Protista, and fungi, don't have much differentiation in in their subcategories. But the plant and animal has a lot of subcategories in them, and most of the life forms in the earth, in this planet, are from the plantae and animalia. So we will, in this chapter we will further study the different types of subcategories of these two groups. So before going ahead, and we briefly uh, see a chart, five kingdoms of classification, and which is based on mode of nutrition and cellular organization. How the cell is organized, this is the first way, and then comes the mode of nutrition. First, organisms, they are prokaryote, eukaryotes, and in prokaryotes the unicellular are called monera. In eukaryotes, they prokaryotes all the prokaryotes are unicellular. There is nothing called multicellular prokaryotes, and eukaryotes are further unicellular and multicellular. In eukaryotes unicellular, there is a protista. Examples are amoeba, parameciums are example of this. And then in multicellular we have further again divisions. We have a cell wall and without cell wall. And with cell wall do not perform photosynthesis and do perform photosynthesis. Fungi are the heterotrophs, and they rely on decaying organisms. So they takes their food from other organisms, and they don't have ability to perform photosynthesis, and they are fungi. And those who perform photosynthesis are autotrophs, and they are plantae. They comes in a plantae. And the last thing is, without cell wall, they are animal. They comes in a kingdom, animal kingdom, we call it animalia. Now talks about the different subcategories of plants and animals. Starting with the plants, the first level of classification among the plants depend on whether plant body has a differentiated, well differentiated and distinct parts. First we will discuss about differentiation. Are the plants is plant body is well differentiated. Next level of the classification depends on the whether the differentiated part has a special tissue for transportation of water and substance. First will be differentiation, and then second will be separate tissue. Are the organism have a separate tissue for the special functions like transportation of water and substance, other substance, water and food and minerals. Further classification look at the ability to bear seed, whether the seed is enclosed within the fruit or it is like just like exposed to the outer environment. So based on these like formulas of classification, the first we have a thallophyta. Phyta is a word that means plant. Phyta means plant. Thallophyta, since we will just talk about the differentiation thing. So in this category, thallophyta, no stem, no roots, no leaves. The plant body is not differentiated. It's not well differentiated. It doesn't have a differentiated parts designed to fall in the group. The plant do not have a well differentiated body designed fall into this group. That means there is no stem, no roots, and no leaves. The plants in this category are commonly called algae, blue green algae. These plants are predominantly aquatic. These are aquatic. Examples are these. I don't know how to spell them. This is hard to spell in most of the biology, but in biology. So these are the plants. Chara is there, Spiro Gyra is there, Uval Lua is there. And then comes the bryophyta. In first category, in Thallophyta, it is the plant is not at all differentiated. Next, it is differentiated. It is differentiated. It has a stem. It has a leaf-like structure, but it is differentiated. The next level of differentiation was the spatial tissue. Now talks about it is the plant, whether the differentiated plant has a spatial tissue. No spatial tissue. Spatial tissue in the sense of conducting tissue which conducts food, mineral and water. Xylem and phloem basically. So they are called amphibians of the plant kingdom because they can live in both land and water. They differentiated in the forms of stem life structure. They are differentiated. These are well differentiated, and however not specialized tissue to conduct water and food. That means no xylem and phloem is there. Moses and Marchentia are the example. Don't my spelling like my pronunciation is bad, so don't notice it. Then Moses and Mos in Hindi we call it Kai. These are the common bryophyta, and they lives in both land and water. This is why they are called amphibians, because amphibians are those organisms which lives in both water and lands. We will also discuss there. So this is called biotophyte. These are biophyta. And next category is pteridophyta. They have a stem, root or leaves. That means they are well differentiated. Plus they also have a vascular system. The vascular system was absent in the biophyta. They now have a vascular system but no flower or fruit. So the our third category of differentiation was the ability to bear seed, whether the seed are enclosed, and seed and fruit are they are the same things. Okay, but no fruit or flower. In this group, the plant body is differentiated into root, stem, and leaves, and has a specialized tissue for conducting water and other substances. They are differentiated, and also they have vascular system, conductive system, and also that means they have a xylem and phloem. And some examples are Marsilia, ferns, and horsetail. Now, reproductive organs of the plant are of these groups are inconspicuous, cannot be seen. That means cannot be seen properly, like which is hidden. That means hidden, something is hidden, and they are therefore called cryptogamous, or those with the hidden reproductive organisms. Gamous means gamete, and crypto means hidden. Crypto, hidden gametes. They have a hidden gametes. And now so they don't have a flower and fruits which are visible. Flowers and fruit, where they are reproductive things, and which are not visible in this type of category, so they falls into Pteridophyta. Differentiated reproductive parts that ultimately make seed are called pheran pheronogamous phanerogram. Seeds are the result of sexual reproduction process. This group is further classified based on whether the seed is naked or enclosed in fruit, giving the two groups gymnosperm and angiosperms. This is so now we have another category now about in which we will study the differentiation on the basis of the seeds, whether it is exposed to the environment or it is like covered with fruit. Gymnosperms. The word gymno means naked. Sperm means seed. Uh, the plants which have a naked space, naked seeds are classified under these category. This category, pine and devdar are the examples of this. This is a pine. This is a pine seed, and which is exposed to environment. This is not covered by any fruit. Again, this is again a palm tree. Now, angiosperm. Angio means covered and sperm means seed. They are called flowering plant. That means the seeds are covered by a fruit. The flowering plant, they are flowering plant. The seeds developed inside an ovary which is modified to become a fruit. Plant embryos in seed have structures called cotyledons. Cotyledons are called seed leaves because in many instances they emerge and develop green when the seeds germinate. The angiosperms are divided into two groups on the basis of the number of the cotyledons present in the seeds. Monocotyledons, monocots, which have a single cotyledon, and those one who have a two cotyledons and a dicotyledons. So monocots and dicots are subdivisions of the angiosperm. These are the example of these things. Let's now talks about this differentiation. Quickly revise it. The plant were divided into those who don't have differentiated parts and those which have differentiated parts. Thallophyta doesn't have differentiated part. In differentiated part, we have a subcategory without special vascular tissue, without with vascular tissue. Biophyta don't have vascular tissue, and other category, those who have a vascular tissue are also subdivided into two categories. Don't produce seeds, they don't produce seeds, which is the Aerophyta, and those who produce seeds are also subcategorized into two. Whose seeds are bare, naked, are gymnosperms, and who bear seed inside a fruit are known as angiosperms. And angiosperms are subcategorized into based on the cotyledons. And one cotyledons have two cotyledons and dicotyledons, dicots in short, and those who has one is called monocots. Classification of plants now comes in animalia, and this is the last section, and this is also important one. And animalia, animalia, uh, these are organisms which are eukaryotic, multicellular, heterotrophic. Their cell do not have cell walls. Okay, animal cells don't have a cell wall. Only the some bacteria and the plant cell have a cell wall. First category is prorifera. 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 The word prorifera means organism with holes, non-motiles. Non-motile attached to some solid support. They are non-motile, cannot move and attached to solid support. These leads to a canal system that helps in circulating water throughout the body and bring food and oxygen. So they look like this. They are non-motile, and the water passes inside it, and this is how the water and the foods comes to them. They don't go for the food, the food comes inside it because like they are holes, like structure in it, cavity we call it. Animals are covered with the hard outside layer or skeleton. Very minimal differentiation or division of the tissue is there. Commonly called sponges, and many are found in marine habitat only. The next classification is the Clendera, and which is not much important, makes the cell makes up cells on the outside the body, and the other makes the inner lining of the body. Some of these species live in colonies. Corals are comes under this category, while others have a solitary lifespan. Hydra, jellyfish, and see common example. Jellyfish also comes into this category. They also live in water. They shows the more body differentiation, and there is a cavity in the body. The body is made up of two layers of cells. So a little more differentiation is there in the next category compared to the Florifera, and they also live in water. The next category is Platyhelminthes. It is more differentiated, far more complexity designed than two others groups which we have considered so far. The body bilaterally symmetric, meaning that the left or right halves of the body have the same design. They have a three layer of a cell which differentiated tissue can be made, which is why such animals are called tri trypoblastic, because three layers of cells are there, and Tenera is there in this category. Next category is next category is Nematoda, bilaterally symmetric, and this is bilaterally symmetric and tripoblastic, and the further now the more, now mostly they are simple. There is nothing much to discuss in this about these category, because they are like similar organisms, and they are like not at that much important for exam perspective. Then they have a true body cavity. This allow true organs to be packaged in the body structure, and earthworms, leech are the example of this category. And now here in after comes a new category, an anthropodata. This is another most in like important category. Above category as was not very much important for exams, and anthropodata and a category discussed hereafter are comparatively important one. They have exoskeletons, probably largest group of animals. In animal kingdom, anthropodata has the largest group of animals. These animals are bilaterally symmetrical and segmented, and they have an open circulatory system. Open circulatory system, that means they don't have blood vessels. The blood flow throughout the body, and this is called open circulatory. In closed circulatory system, proper blood channels are there, and so that the blood do not flow well defined blood vessels. Then coelomic cavity is blood filled. They have jointed legs. Anthropods means jointed legs. The word itself is jointed legs. Family examples are butterflies, houseflies, spiders, scorpions. We all are familiar with these types of organisms. But other organisms we are less familiar. We are familiar with these, but categories like these we are hardly familiar with them. Butterflies and these houseflies, spiders, scorpions, and crabs are comes under anthropodata. The main feature, they have exoskeletons, and they have open circulatory system. They don't have blood vessels. Now mollusca, they have open circulatory system and kidney like organs for excretion. Bilateral symmetry is there also. A coulombic cavity is reduced. In earlier type it was a lot of cavities there. Now the cavity is reduced, and this category octopus, unipilla are comes under this category. Now this is another category, let's skip this, probably not important. And now the proto chordata. Chordata is like some we will chordata is, they are bilateral symmetrical. We will chordata is like a long rod support structure, cord string, that runs along the back of the animal, separating the nerve tissue and from the gut. They saw a new feature of a body design, namely notochord, at least at some stage during their life. Prochordates may not have a proper notochords present at the stage of their lives or for the entire length of the animal. Prochordates are marine animals. They mostly like like we have a spine, a similar spine thing. We can, you can relate about something spine, backbone. And pro means they are like it is not much matured, like they are primary. And in second category we will have a definite separate and permanent chordata, and that category is for the vertebra. The two vertebral column and the internal skeleton, allowing a complete different distribution of muscle attachment points to be used for the movement. These animals have a true vertebral column. Thus, the vertebral column is a chordata. This is what a vertebral column, chordata. In humans, we have like a spine. This is what chordata is. Spine thing you can, and allowing the complete different distribution of muscle attachment. And vertebrates are bilaterally symmetrical, coulombic and segmented. They have a spine thing. In humans we call it spine, but it is vertebra actually. Notochords have a dorsal nerve cord and triploblastic, three types of cell layers. Then have a paired gills and are a columate. And it this thing has subcategory. One is this elongated eels, body circular. Then fishes comes under fish. They are fish, and exclusively only, that exclusive means only and only aquatic. They obtain oxygen dissolved in water by using gills. Body is streamlined, and a muscular tail is used for the movement. They are cold-blooded, and heart has only two chambered. The fishes has only two chambered heart. They also lay eggs. So these are the example, like a lionfish, mandarin fish, anglerfish. So now the next category is amphibia. Amphibia are three chambered. Fishes are have a two chambered heart. Amphibians has a three chambered heart, and mammals have, we will discuss later, four chambered heart. Respiration is through either gills or lungs. See, in the previous species, respiration is through the only gills, and by the water dissolve oxygen dissolved in the water. Now amphibians can both way, either through gills or lungs. That is why they can live in the water and also live in the land. And biophyta for the similar region are called amphibians of the plant kingdoms. Respiration is through hydrogills. They lay eggs both in water and lands. Found in both water and lands. Frogs, toads, salamander are the some of the examples of the amphibians. Frogs, we can see salamander and these are look similar. We in daily life usually differentiate these animals. Now next category is reptiles. By name reptile, only one thing appears in which is one thing comes in the mind, which is a snake. These animals are cold-blooded and breathe through lungs. Heart is again three-chambered. Crocodile, although crocodiles, which is a reptile, has a four-chamber heart. This is the exception category. They lay eggs and do not need to lay eggs in water, unlike amphibians. So they lay eggs in, do not need to lay, they may be laying eggs in land also. Snakes, turtles, lizard, crocodile falls into this category. So reptiles जो mostly scrolling animals, रेंगने वाले, scrolling. And important thing is the crocodile, which lives uh, both sea and land, is not categorized in amphibians, because in amphibians, they have gills and lungs both. No, they don't have gills and lungs both. They respire from skin also. These animals also respire through skin, and crocodile don't respire through skin. So this is why it is categorized in reptilia, although it is four chambered, it has a four chambered heart. Aves means birds. This is why aviation word come, aviation like flying thing, planes and all that. Aviation, av means bird. Warm blood animals and have a four chambered heart. They lay eggs and outside covering of feathers, and two forelimbs are modified into flight. Forelimbs, like these animals, like they have four limbs. Suppose this is an animal, it has a four limbs, and in aves these four limbs are converted into feathers. And last category we have a mammalia, because they have a mammary glands, milk producing glands. Warm blooded animals with a four chambered heart, mammary glands for the production of a milk and nourishment of their youngs is there. They have a mammary gland, that is why they are mammal. And another differentiation is they have a skin hair and sweat glands also, as well as sweat and oil glands. They produce young ones. However, few of them, exceptions are there. Platypus and Inchendria lay eggs. Platypus and Inchendria lay eggs. Like kangaroo, and some like kangaroo gives a birth of poorly developed young ones. And this was a short introduction about the mammalia. Humans are also mammal, and for examples of the mammal are human, cat, rat, and bat are the examples of mammal. We are about to finish the chapter, and we have only 1 or 2 pages more. Let's finalize it. How we differentiate animals: circular body design and tissue level of organization and tissue level organization. Florifera. Then we have tissue level. We have no body cavity. Columate is there, and like these are like hard to remember, and we do not see them in regular life, day-to-day life. Anthropodata is the largest. No, this is not that thing. Then formed from the then two categories forms. One is noctochode and one is noctochode is present. That means similar to the spine thing. We can consider this. Uh, then we have a chordata. In chordata, we have a two subcategories. Like as a least one doesn't have a definite like lifetime chordata, and another category has a chordata which is a spine like structure, and for permanent which is called vertebra. And these forms the like maybe more than 90% of the animal kingdom. I'm just guess, this is just a guess only. So vertebrae are subdivided into eel like circular mouth, scared slim skin. And in second category we have exoskeleton. Third category we have gills in larva, lungs in most adults, and slim skin. In fourth category exoskeleton of scales, laying eggs outside the water, reptilia. Exoskeleton of feathers and lay eggs outside the water, flight possible. Aves and mammalia is their exoskeleton. External layer is there, mostly giving birth to young ones. Forms under mammalia. Now, nomenclature. System of scientific naming or nomenclature was introduced by this guy, uh, Carolus Lima, Carolus Linnaeus, in the 18th century. So the certain conventions are followed while writing the scientific name. Genus, as I discussed in the starting of the chapter, first comes genus, species. Lowest thing in the species, then comes genus, and these things are used for scientific names. Genus begins with the capital letter, species begins with the small letter. Scientific name is given in Latin, in italic, tilted this way. Let's quickly go through the whole chapter. Classification help us exploring the diversity of life forms. Major characteristics considered for classification. Classifying all organisms into five kingdoms are whether they have a prokaryotic or eukaryotic cells, like Monera and Protista are divided into based on this category. Whether the cell is living singly or organized into multicellular, thus complex, then comes to the thus complex organisms is there. Whether the cell have a cell wall or whether they prepare their own food, whether they have a cell wall or they are autotrophic or heterotrophic. Five kingdoms are Monera, Protista, Fungi, Plantae, and Animalia. I don't know how to pronounce it. The classification of life forms is related to their evolution because this is basically based on evolution. Plantae and Animalia are further divided into subdivisions on the basis of increasing complexity of body organization. Plants are divided into five kingdoms: Thallophyta, Bryophyta, Pteridophyta, Gymnosperm, and Angiosperms. And animals are divided into 10 groups. These are the 10 groups. The binomial nomenclature makes a uniform way of identification of vast variety of life forms around us. The binomial nomenclature is made up of two words. One is generic name and one is scientific name. Thank you for watching this video.